A book one was all about the books that I read for the last 40 years. And today I have my special guest. One of his advocacy, helping service businesses sound as good as they really are. None other than Mr. Hasani X.
Pleasure to be here, Daniel.
Welcome, Mr. X on Book One Review. And can you please introduce more about yourself that I miss?
Well, Daniel, at the end of the day, I just help businesses to sound as good as they really are. Because you know how difficult it is sometimes to stand out in the noise. You'll say, I'm an accountant, I'm a lawyer, or I'm a consultant, a leadership coach. All of these terms and ideas find their way into our messaging. And no matter how good we are at what we do, they don't tend to resonate and build connection to where someone goes, oh my God, can you help me? I want you to help me. I help businesses to get over that hump, to have a clear message, a can't refuse offer, and a connected story that compels people to engage. And this is one of the first dominoes to fall. If you can't get people interested in who you are and what you do, they don't care about how good you are. And unfortunately, or fortunately, depending upon how you look at it, it's not who is best, it's best story wins. And that's what I help businesses to do, to tell the best story they can possibly tell to give them a shot at winning new business.
And thank you so much for sharing your knowledge and wisdom to the world, Mr. X. Thank you. And today, let's talk about the death of a small businesses or business. Why good businesses are disappearing. So tell us.
Yeah. The death of small businesses is a bit hyperbolic, but the data suggests that it's right and true. Since 1997, the percent of businesses has grown 76% in terms of small businesses to over 27 million in 2019. But during that same time period, you know how the share of small businesses receipts, meaning all the money made, you know how much is actually going to small businesses? It's declining. In that same period, it went up 76%, but share of receipts declined 37%, meaning small businesses are getting a smaller share of the pie, but there's far more competition. So what gives? Over the last 30 years, this has intensified. And over the last decade, it's went in a whole new direction. And with the advance of AI, it's through the roof. And what I've accounted for in my study and from experience is that there are three B's that are pulling away market share. And we'll recognize them readily, Daniel. So it's like bigs, right? Big businesses. They move on scale, convenience and being cheap. Think Amazon or other big businesses. They're cheap and convenient, and they've encroached on small businesses. Everyone knows that story. Then you have in the middle, which few really consider, but it makes sense, what I call beasts, right? These beasts are businesses that trade on moving fast and taking advantage of opportunities and market gaps. So think 6 years ago, it was NFTs and then blockchain, Bitcoin. Now it's AI. They rise and fall with the trends. Most flame out and don't do much, but they're ahead of the curve. They move based upon speed. And then the last category that is winning today is brands or our brands, those who compete based upon connection that goes far beyond products and features. They move people on feelings, right? So you think about big businesses winning at scale, being cheap and convenient, beasts winning with speed, and brands winning with connection. Where does that leave small businesses? That leaves most small businesses competing as commodities based upon price. And as such, this is why the share of receipts for small businesses has been declining year after year after year. AI, Daniel, has made that level of finding a way in even more important than ever, as many small businesses are struggling to figure out where they fit in this new economy.
Mr. X, this will be a follow up to to your topic that you use the word death to the topic itself, but the 2026 data from Ireland shows that while overall insolvencies actually fell 7% last year, so creditor led enforcement, receiverships, court liquidation surged to 30 to 58%. What's the difference between the business that quietly closes and what is executed by the lenders? And what does the gap tell us about who is really pulling the trigger?
Um, say that one more time, Daniel. I'm trying to like. What is the question again?
So the question is, what is the difference between the business that quietly close and the one that is executed by its lenders?
Ah, oh well, the end result is they're closed. They're off the books. Ultimately, they end in the same thing. You know, right now we also are dealing with what they call the silver tsunami, Daniel, where you have I think it was something, don't quote me, it's like $12 trillion in baby boomer businesses that have nowhere to exit. They don't have buyers, they don't have transitions or legacy plans with their kids. It's just like they're going to vanish and disappear. So that's another big issue with small businesses. They haven't built something that can exit, right? Can survive without them. They haven't built a brand that can survive without that key figure in front. So whether a lender is closing on it because the assets are required to pay the debt, or they're just quietly closing, this is the path for the greater majority of small businesses. I think is what's the statistics? Don't quote me on this. I think it's only 1 in 5 or 2 in 5 that actually find an exit partner. The others just go away. And that's unfortunate because one of the things that drove me to found my company, Chiefs of Story, 3 years ago was a client who came to me and I'll never forget it, Daniel. She was a model small business. She did everything right. She had great reviews, great services. Her team loved her. And this was 10 years ago. I worked with her. I caught up with her and I was like, "Oh, how are things going?" I'm expecting her to say, "Man, I'm on top of the world." She was like, "X, I had to shut it all down." And I was like, "What?" She was like, "Every day things got harder," which a lot of businesses can recognize. And she was like, at the end of the day, I didn't find a buyer, right? I had a small business that depended upon me to be everything to it. And she was like, I just had to walk away. I couldn't continue because it got too hard. And I just wanted to live my life in my next chapter. And Daniel, that's when I realized that so many good businesses are finding themselves in a similar position. Maybe not today, maybe not tomorrow, but 3 to 5, 8 years from now, when we're looking at what's going on, did we build something that we can transfer to whomever, right? And if we haven't built a business or we're not a beast, because most of us aren't, I'm not a beast. I'm not going to rise and fall with every trend. I'm dedicated to my craft, and most people are. So that leaves becoming a big business. But are we going to compete with venture capital and all the things that come with that? And most people I know don't really want that either. So the only viable path for most is to figure out how to build a brand. And this is where I preach and teach is like we got to figure out how to turn this small business into a brand where we're trading above features and functions and we're getting our audience to feel something about who we are and what we do. And this becomes a transferable asset instead of a small business problem.
Very well said, Mr. X. So, one in the five UK small business is the risk of collapse within 24 months if the key owner suffers a health crisis. The average owner does not have this insurance. So, many question is not why don't they buy it? My question is, what does this gap reveal about how entrepreneurs actually perceive their own mortality versus how they profess to perceive it?
I just had an interesting conversation on LinkedIn about this. Ah, I'm gonna give him a shout. I gotta remember his name, but he helps businesses to understand. He's a merger and acquisition, and he was like the core argument is this: a lot of small businesses they don't build their business to be acquired because they want to maintain optionality, right? And through optionality, they're saying the freedom to be whatever they want. But that's an illusion, Daniel, because if you think about it, What gives you the highest latitude and optionality? It's building your business to be acquired, whether you want to or not, because that allows you to be acquired. It allows you to step back. It allows you to not have key man risk. You've built systems, et cetera, and so forth. You're taking care of one of the hardest things to do because you're optimizing around it. And the irony is, if you do it, you have far greater optionality. But most businesses don't learn that until the end of their journey. And we were talking about this on LinkedIn, is that most business owners don't understand that their first trip through. It's second time founders who at the end go, I get it now. They couldn't find an exit. They went to the table to say they thought they would get this and they got that. It's the epiphany of getting hit upside the head that makes the second time founder go, wait a minute. I need to build something that is built to be acquired, which will give me the greatest freedom and latitude in my business. It's a hard target, but it's the one that gives you the greatest optionality. And I don't think a lot of us take that as like the truth. We dance around it, we play around it, we flirt with it a little, but ultimately you'll be like my client in the story, or like most small businesses, like you said in that statistic, we find a point where we're just at risk of losing it all because we haven't built a business that can be acquired.
Well said, Mr. X. You have a profitable business. You have a loyal customers, and you have one client who represents 34% of your revenue. The 2008 crisis taught us this is a death sentence. The 2026 Fair Payment Code is trying to cap payment terms of 60 days. Why do intelligence experience owners still let the whale client become the executioner? And what does it actually feel like when the client goes under taking your receivable with them?
I think that's a good question. I I think like in most cases, most business owners are smart, intelligent, and doing their best. And they recognize the risk. It's not like we're informing them around, hey, 40% of your revenue comes from one person, you have risk. They know that. The issue is in knowing it is being able to avoid it. And because we are often, and I've been there myself in the businesses I ran and the ones I've invested in, it's like we have to survive. We have to pay bills. We got a staff to support. I got a mortgage to pay. I'm saying yes to things not because they're best for my long term uh, uh, brand building and things of that nature. It's like I need a yes to pay the bills. So everything else is like when a rubber meets the road, I got to do what it takes to survive. So the question becomes not a like fix it and make it go away. The fix is I have a real pragmatic thing that I need to take care of while simultaneously figuring out how to remove myself from that situation. And I think for many, they're so inundated with the survival side that there isn't much energy and effort to be applied to fixing it. And there's some very simple things that you can do to fix it. But it's like the entrepreneur who gets home, they spent all their good energy at work, and when they get home, their family gets scraps. And if you don't have the energy to give to it, the bandwidth, the time, the expertise, you just keep running that rat race. And you know it. You know it. You feel it. You're intelligent. They're smart. You're working hard, but that hard work isn't going into the things that are going to eventually set you free.
Mr. X, the April 2026 business rates revolution described as a cliff edge for physical businesses. Warehouse or larger offices face a sudden multiplier like subsidized retail relief. This is not a market failure, this is a policy choice. Who decided that logistics and distribution, the backbone of modern e commerce, should be the tax sacrificial lamb to save this high street?
I'm a little confused on the question. Can you restate it?
Yes. So Nowadays, warehouse and largest office face sudden multiplier hike than the subsidized retail relief. Is this serve as scapegoat for this tax sacrificial lamb to save the high street of the small businesses?
I don't know. I would be hazarding guess. That's not my area of expertise. Um, I don't know. It's above my pay grade. You have. What do you think?
For me, if they make lesser or to be make a consideration for small businesses to not to hide their tax if they know they cannot attain the tax, for sure they will survive.
Okay, let's go with that because
Yes,
I'm yeah.
for sure. Please, the people implementing tax, most especially of the business sector, if you think our small business sector suffering from those things, let's be cooperative, people. Let's save those small business and uplift them and give them boost. Don't you think, Mr. X?
Yeah, anything we can do to support small businesses. They for a long time have been um, a growth vector for the economy. They're being squeezed and have been for a long time now. So anything we can do to support them, because a lot of people who have jumped into building those small businesses. So we said it went up 73% in the last, what is it, 30, 40 years. The number is just big businesses in terms of being able to take care of the average person and being able to retire with a pension and do things like that. In this country, at least, it's very hard to get that. That doesn't exist anymore. So a lot of us are having to figure out how to make our own way, the gig economy and things of that nature. So creating a favorable environment, tax or otherwise, I'm all for it if we don't have some way for people to find gainful employment. We got mouths to feed, we have lives to live, and I have kids myself. And I'm like, man, what are they going to do and how are they going to do it? Given what's going on and the rise of AI, there's so many things that have question marks in front of them, whereas before they had answers. And unfortunately, those question marks are getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And the stakes of not being able to answer them are getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And I don't have the answers, but I do know each of us has to go out there and figure it out together. And collectively, society hopefully figure this out to make a way for all of us. That's my hope anyway.
Yes, let's hope for the best, Mr. X. So, as you helping service business sounds as good as they are, really are. What are your short term and long term goals?
Mine's is to have an impact. I walk into the world and asking the question, how do I create impact? Like, it's like I got a number, 100 million people, but just like, how do I make a positive impact? Um, and each day I'm waking up and aiming at being my best at it. And I think that's all we can do is wake up, have a direction, and then walk steadfastly in that direction, not knowing if we're going to arrive, not knowing if today's step is going to count, not knowing anything other than where I'm going is a worthy destination. And that for me, that's kept me moving forward. Right. And it's been a helpful guide, because I come from a place where, I shouldn't be here. Right? Like I'm from Oakland, California, inner city, blah blah blah. All the stories that go with that. My high school class started with 500 students. Only like 38 of us graduated. Like that. From that to being an Ivy League graduate, right? First generation from that and figuring out how to launch a business and build a business where I'm coaching presidents of corporations at the same time coaching and working with prisoners in jail. I'm coaching and consulting mom and pop businesses and also publicly traded companies. And I got one foot in my family and rooted in my community who is suffering, and then one in these lavish halls. It's like dancing in the middle and seeing both sides. And whether we're talking about those who have nothing or those who have everything, what I find to be common for those who thrive in all of those environments is the ones who have something worth fighting for and they're moving toward it and not allowing the noise of what's around them to dictate what they do and how they do it. So that's why I named my newsletter The Signal. And that's why I talk to business owners about the signal. Because if you can find it and eliminate the noise, that is not only key to life, but it's key to being able to communicate your value to others and to get people to connect and to follow and to engage. And signal is everything.
Yes, definitely. Signal is everything. So good luck to your goals and looking forward for more success, Mr. X. And can you please recommend a book or books that influence your journey?
There are a lot. The latest one is Benjamin Hardy's Scaling, the Science of Scaling, Dr. Benjamin Hardy. And one of the things I appreciate most about that book, and here's an exercise, a tangible thing I want. I tell people all the time. I coach, I mentor a lot of people, and they come to me and say, "Well, X, here's what I'm trying to do." And I hear in their voice that they've mapped out this path to get to where they're going, and they tell me all the steps. Daniel, I got to do this, I got to do this, I got to do that, and it makes complete sense. So then I pull them through this thing I call the leapfrog. And the leapfrog is about changing three things. And then the last one I got from Science of Scaling. The first thing is to change the urgency of your goal. So I'll say something, and I was just mentoring someone yesterday. They were like, I need to build my business. I was like, okay, if you absolutely, like Daniel, if you absolutely had to get this done because someone is holding your family hostage, what would you do? And they start to hedge. No, you have to get this done. Like your life, their life depends on you getting this done. What would you do? And that long list, Daniel, that they have, you know what happens? It shrinks to about three things, right? And people are playing with this long list because they haven't changed the modality of urgency. That's step one. Step two is to change the modality of timing. I say, okay, you have three things. If you absolutely had to do this thing, they have your family hostage, Daniel. You got to get it done, but you got to get it done in 24 hours. What would you do? That list of a few things gets shrunk down even more. And now you see that there's only one, two, maybe three things that you would do. And you know what stops us from doing those one to three things? It's not resources. It's not time because we just shrunk it down. It's balls. It's like the willingness to go directly for and to do the things that matter most. And and that's the epiphany when I'm coaching someone to figure out how to move forward. So that's the second one. The third thing I stole from Dr. Benjamin Hardy in The Science of Scaling, which is really about signal and noise. The problem with a lot of us in trying to improve in any area of life is that we create incremental goals. We'll say, hey, okay, I want to make 20% more, or I want to double the business, et cetera, and so forth. But think about it, Daniel, there are 1,000 different ways to go about doing that. That means there's a lot of noise, right? So the science of scaling says don't do that. Instead, set an impossible goal, like 10x bigger. If I had to do this 10 times more, what would I do now? That forces you to conceptualize and innovate in a way that pushes you to think completely out of your box. And now when I'm coaching, I use this third one as, okay, you want to land one client and you have to do it and you got to do it in this time. What if you had to land 10 clients in 24 hours? Freaking impossible. But the exercise will help you to innovate, not only to condense down to the key actions that matter, but to innovate and to find the signal that's going to give you something worthy of being scaled.
Well said, very well said, Mr. X, and thank you for the recommended book. And can you please give a piece of advice for those people out there want to be like you?
Oh, don't want to be like me. Be like you. There's something about you that if you're able to hold on to the grasp and to put forward, not in this like new age, be your authentic self and the world will come running. That's not, I find it to be like hocus pocus. But I do recognize that in being your authentic self, you can take what is simple and regular and make it yours. So I wear a fedora, right? And my name is X. And I lean into these things because I want to enjoy them and I'm passionate about how I look. But it also becomes my authentic signature to a very tried and true thing, business consulting or whatever I'm doing. You see my fedora, you hear my name, you think of me, right? Not someone else. So the authenticity of who you are is finding the hallmarks that signal why I'm different, why you should choose me, et cetera, and so forth, and going all in on those things because those are distinct distinguishing factors, signal that help you to stand out in all of the noise. Um, so that's one thing. Don't try to be me. Try to find the version of you that puts a stamp on what everyone else is doing and it makes it yours.
Yes, people, be you and naturally you because you are unique, created by God. And before we wrap up our discussion for today, Mr. X, I'm inviting you to please do listen to my other podcast, people, because my abstract essay is already in sixth season, abstract poetry in second season, and my book 101 review in sixth season as well, comedy 101 fourth season, and food 101 in sixth season too, geography 101 love letters, movie 101 review, music 101 are in fifth season, science 101, sex 101 in its fourth season, spiritual awakening 101, trivia 101, law 101, mental health 101, motivation 101, entrepreneurship 101, and of course, my Bible verses 101 are my baby podcasts. Please listen to them wherever you listen your podcast. So, Mr. X, report says that 60% of small business owners made capital outlays in the last 6 months, the highest since November 2023. But they are spending on equipment, vehicles, not AI infrastructure or digital transformations. Is this a rational response to immediate need or a generational lag to recognizing what capital actually means in 2026?
I think businesses tend to spend money on things they think matters. So I think it depends upon your industry and where you are and who you work with. So I can't give a blanket response, but I will say this: building a better product or service is door number two. There are five doors of differentiation that I help my customers kind of figure out. The quality door is door number two. It's like trying to figure out how to be the best. And it's very expensive because you can spend a lot of money being better and still no one pays you attention. But what I recommend that most small businesses do is focus on door number five, which is perception. Perception costs you nothing, but can give you everything. So if everyone offers black, you offer yellow. If everyone's open 9 to 5, you're open nights and weekends to win the professional crowd. If everyone is packaging it this way, you package it this way. These are non-substantive changes to your offer and your service to help you to stand out and to beat the crowd without heavy investment. I try to figure out those things. One client, we invested $300 in backpacks and sand, and it turned into millions in revenue. Another one, we changed them from talking about food to talking about connection. They had the fastest sales growth across the entire national food chain. Like every one of these stories are about changing perception through small changes in the business without high capital expenditure. I try to figure that out because why spend a lot of money trying to get or build a business when you can spend relatively a little with, right? So those are things I would consider. There's no right or wrong. It's about leverage. inputs to outputs. What's going to have the highest ROI?
Very well said, Mr. X. So, can you please invite our listeners to support your advocacy, your business, or whatever projects that you're doing right now?
Yeah, just go over to HasaniX.com, HASANIX, the letter X.com, and just subscribe to The Signal. This is where I'm putting out a weekly newsletter and content around how to differentiate and stand out in your small business, and to help you to fight through all the noise, to find the signal that will help you to attract and convert more customers.
Yes, people, let's support Mr. X, because if you support him, for sure, more and more, the signal will rise. So, Mr. X, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Daniel. I appreciate it.
Monica, people, see you soon.